Broadway side of the story. So Audra had the Juilliard recital, the whole first half of it was classical music, and yet again she always calls me in to play the sassy stuff. So she called me in to play the second half, which was sassafras. So you know, it was a Broadway section. Now, by the way, did you tell your teachers you're going to be doing a Broadway concert?
Well, no, I had to do all the classical stuff for the first half. So I did my French music, and I did some German lieder, and I did some English. No, did I do English? I did German, Spanish, and French. And in the first half. And then the second half, they say you can choose something to do. It can be in English, is what they say.
Maybe like a Samuel Barber.
Samuel Barber, or yeah.
I don't know what, Benjamin Britten.
Benjamin Britten, something like that.
Instead, she was like, Julie Stein!
I was like, what are they going to do? It's been 5 long years, and they're so tired of me. They just want me out of their school. They're just so done with me. So I was like, I'm going to sing some Broadway.
So we did like, Funny Girl. We did Cornet Man.
We did Cornet Man, music that makes me dance. I had some jazz musicians come in, and I did like, baby, 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 that's all. And at the end of that song, I went, I want my degree, and get out of here, you city, that's all. And I was so angry and screaming. And then anyway, so we finished the concert with the Broadway stuff and realized that I didn't have an encore.
Right, so since I'm an amazing pianist, I was like, oh, I know a song by heart that you can do. Because Audra and I have done a lot of these hospital shows together where we like perform for AIDS patients. So we had like a lot of stuff in our repertoire. So I said, oh, we'll do Can't Love That Man. So we went through it once, and I was like, that is just too boring for this audience. So we went back to the bridge. And then right before the ending, I'm like, it's a little too boring, so I took it up a step to add some extra sass. Well, at that point, the anger that she had towards Juilliard turned towards me. And honestly, with Juilliard, Audra McDonald, give me finger. She doesn't remember that.
To this day,
she blacked out.
I didn't black out for that particular performance, and to this day, I don't think I gave you the finger.
How do I remember a finger staring at me? Whose finger was it?
It was not mine. I gave you a dirty look.
Yeah, that involved a finger in front of your face. Let's drop it.
I was ready to be done, and I wasn't ready to go into another key. I just wasn't ready for it. And here's the thing, Seth continues to do that 20 years later. He just decides what key he wants to finish a song in, and you have to be there or not, or he'll just, reach at the end.
I could have danced all night that first day I took it out of half step. Wasn't that good? Thank you, that applause. Okay, so just talk about one of my favorite shows that you did. You know, Audra McDonald starred on Broadway in Raisin, not the musical, Raisin in the Sun. And she did the show with Sean P. Daddy, Puff Daddy, all the above.
Cheese Doodle is what Pat LaFone calls him. She's like, how's Cheese Doodle?
Such respect. Okay, so just first of all, the audience, had they ever been to Broadway shows before us? What was the fun?
It was a very interesting audience because a lot of them were there just to see P. Diddy live, and really up close. And so a lot of them had not necessarily ever been to a Broadway show before. And they were a tad bit new to the experience, is one way of putting it. And so they were just very interesting. They would talk back during the show and put in their 2 cents, and always in the front row there was the people who got the front row seats. We called it, this is awful. My kids should put it closer. We called it the Hoochie Mama row because there was always at least 3 or 4 girls in the front row every night, just watching Diddy the whole time, like, I'm going home with that tonight. So we would just laugh. We'd come out on stage, we started the show, and then by the second act, I'd be like, did you see Hoochie Mama in 104 and 103? Just all just, it just cracked me up. But they also would talk back. They would talk back. And I didn't mind that. It was frustrating from time to time, but I didn't mind it because it meant that they were getting into the show. They were getting moved by the experience and the story, and they were getting caught up, and I liked that. And at the very end of the show, for those of you who don't know it, it's about a family in the south side of Chicago in the 50s trying to deal with their poverty, and they just lost their father, and they have an insurance check, a life insurance check, and there's a big debate about how they're going to spend it. through a series of unfortunate events, they end up losing the money. Sean Combs' character ends up losing the money to a swindler. However, what money they didn't lose, their mother had bought a house in a white neighborhood. Both said we're moving to that house. So at the very end, they finally move out of this cramped one-bedroom apartment that 6 of them have been living in, and they're off to their new life in this house. And there's this little plant that Felicia Rashad's character, Mama, has been watering and trying to take care of. A tiny little plant that hardly gets any sun, it's practically dead, but she throughout the entire show, she's always trying to take care of it. So the very last moment of the show, Mama looks around the house, the apartment that she's finally leaving, and is supposed to walk off, has a moment, has the picture of her husband who's passed away, walks off stage, and then remembers that she's forgotten her plant, runs back on stage, grabs the plant, walks off stage, and that's the curtain, and that's the show. It's a very moving moment. So, Felicia's looking around, the last moment, holding on to a picture of her husband, starts to walk off stage, and then from somewhere in the audience you hear, "Don't forget your plan!" I was like, you should have been like, oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm like, yeah, thanks. I almost forgot it. Thank you.
On that note, next song.